Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So I've been thinking a lot recently just about how overwhelming the health space can be, particularly if you're just new into learning about health and wanting to make better changes. There's so much information out there that I understand it can be quite overwhelming. And even in relation with my own content, I totally understand that maybe even with my stuff, people would even think, oh, it's confusing, where do I even begin? So that's exactly what today's video is. If someone said to me, I really want to become a healthier person, but I just don't know where to start, these are the things that I would say, focus on these things first. So the first thing I would tell you to focus on is what I call your bookends. Your morning routine and your evening routine. These are the bookends to your day. It's absolutely great if you are, really focusing on your nutrition throughout the day and you're, making all these changes. But if your sleep schedule is just all over the place and you're going to bed super late and then maybe waking up really early because you've got an early start to work, so you're just lacking in sleep, or maybe you're waking up in the morning scrolling on your phone, getting yourself into a bit of a negative spiral mindset wise to start your day, or maybe I don't know, you're getting up and you're super rushed to go for work, so you skip breakfast and your morning routine is very fast paced, go, or maybe you're watching TV till really late hours at night and this kind of TV you're watching is really dark, intense, maybe even gory stuff. All of these things you may not immediately associate to your health, but these are all the things that are building the basis of your health, basically. When we talk about improving our health, it is not just about nutrition. We have our physical health, but we also have our mental health as well. The both are coincided, and the better your mental health is, the better your physical health is going to be. Likewise, the other way around, the better your physical health is going to be and how you feel internally is going to obviously improve your mental health as well. So we really need to make sure that all pillars of health are being supported. So this is why I say to people, start with your bookends, because your morning routine is like your stabilizer. Okay, this is what sets you up for the day. I heard on a podcast once someone say, they said it as a joke, and it was the term win the morning, win the day. And they were kind of making fun of it. But then I was like, actually, when it comes to your health, that is actually very true. There's a lot of things that we can put into our morning routine that can make a significant difference on how our body behaves throughout the day, or even how you sleep that next night. So actually, when it comes to health, I do say win the morning, win the day. So yeah, your morning is like your stabilizer, and then your evening routine, that is your unwinder. That is the comfort blanket at the end of the day. You've been, up, go, maybe all day. Your nervous system has been really active. So in that evening routine, it's your time to be okay, nervous system, I'm looking after you now. I'm going to calm this down. We're going to unwind and we're going to get ready for a really good restful night's sleep. And these things seem maybe very simple when I'm talking about it. I don't know how this comes across to you, but believe me, these are two areas where when I'm working with people, these things are always got some kind of imbalance in them. There's something out in either one of the bookends, and it always feeds into the concern at hand. And the other thing to say about evening and morning routines is it doesn't need to be extensive. You work with your lifestyle and what you can do. Everyone's day-to-day is going to be different. So morning routine can be very simple, but it's just about setting boundaries and setting the intention. That's the same with the evening as well. And I'm going to do a whole video on how to create a really health supporting morning routine. And it's not going to be intense. It's not going to be some crazy extensive routine. It's going to be sharing those core pillars of the morning routine that you need to work on that are going to really set you up for the day. And if you do want another video also on how to create a good evening routine, I can do that, so let me know. Okay, the second thing that I would do, so this is going over to something a bit more nutrition focused, is really get down those inflammatory seed oils. Okay, in the Western diet particularly, inflammatory seed oils and also sugar, these are the two things that are just killing our health, honestly. These inflammatory seed oils are anything from vegetable oils like canola oil, rapeseed oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, anything in that kind of spectrum. These oils have no benefit for us. They're just literally causing us problems. It is a health killing ingredient, honestly, that goes into all our food. So the goal is to really just start checking ingredients lists and really looking out for these hidden oils. You aren't going to avoid them 100%. It is really hard to do that nowadays, and I'm really against food fear as well. And I think there's, life is all about balance. The way I always approach these things is more so just trying to reduce your load. That's how I talk about it. But yeah, they're in everything. Plant-based milks, butters, processed foods, condiments. Honestly, check an ingredients list, you'll be shocked, okay? So just start being mindful. And if you're wondering which oils are better, I would go for anything from avocado oil, coconut oil, extra virgin olive oil, ghee, good quality butter, or any other kind of animal fats. They're all really good options. Okay, tip number 3, and we're going back to a lifestyle tip, and this is something that honestly I have to write into 90% of people's plans. So I know a lot of people are not doing this, and it is getting outside, okay? Get that exposure of natural light on that pineal gland, because that is gonna help with your circadian rhythm, also your mood as well. Like in terms of mental health, getting outside in nature if you can is absolutely fantastic. It really gives you a sense of grounding, but I also find it really gives you a great perspective as well. There's someone I follow on Instagram, her name's Amy. She's an old colleague of mine, but she's a well-being psychologist, I think is her title. But she did a really great post, I remember a while back, and she was saying that when you're in those bigger spaces in nature, it gives you the perspective that you are just this tiny little person on this huge planet. And when you've got things on your mind that you might be obsessing over and making a really big deal of, you know, inside your head, when you go out into nature, into these big open spaces, it really helps you gain that perspective back. Like it's actually, I'm pretty sure it was all backed by science, like it's a scientific thing. I'll leave her Instagram account down below because she does a lot of posts kind of in this area, and it's really interesting. But yeah, there is a science behind getting outside and how it impacts your mental health and well-being. So that's definitely a side of it. But the other thing as well, the reason I'm also throwing this tip in is that so many of us work, you know, 9-to-5 jobs where you're sitting at a computer desk all day and you probably don't even see the daylight once all day. Like you have your lunch break, but you might stay inside the building. Get out, like even if it's for 10 minutes, you know, a quick walk around the block, just get outside and try and make it your goal to do that once every single day. And another benefit you're going to get by just focusing on this point is, as a bonus, you're going to get your body moving. And that's another thing that so many people don't do enough, is don't move our bodies enough. You know, we've got to try and keep that movement up daily. Like 30 minutes of movement a day is what you really should be getting as a minimum. And that really, honestly, in the scheme of things, sounds like nothing. And movement can be literally be just going for a walk. It's like the peak of my movement, getting up from my desk, going to the kitchen or whatever, getting my lunch and then sitting back down. Like if that's the case, like that's a problem. So on that lunch break, getting out and getting that light exposure is also going to get your body moving, and honestly you will feel an impact on that. You will definitely feel like when you get back to your desk, you'll feel a bit more switched on, because also it's the oxygen, like getting out in that fresh air really is like fuel for the brain as well. Okay, tip number 4, we're taking it back to the food, and it's a very simple one about just getting that veg up. And the reason I'm including it is because I do have to put this into a lot of people's food diaries. Like we don't get enough veg in our diet. When it comes to, you know, the optimal every day, the NHS set the 5 fruit and veg a day, but that is not what is based on what is optimal for the human body. It's based on what is realistic, okay? In terms of like research of what we really need, from a vegetable perspective, it's more like 7 to 10 portions a day. So I always start my clients on aiming for 5 portions. It's a really good starting point of vegetables on your plate a day. You can split that as 2 at lunch, 2 at dinner, and maybe 1 as a snack, or maybe 1 with breakfast. So it really is actually quite easy to obtain that when you really break it down. Something that's quite common for me to see in food diaries is a lot of people like to gravitate towards more salad vegetables, so which are quite kind of water based. But what I try and get more of in my clients' diets is more of like the dark green pigments, super anti-inflammatory, rich in phytonutrients. Also with all the colours, like make sure to get the purples in. Purple's a colour that gets slipped to the side a bit. And also interestingly, when I do a lot of gut testing, there's a strain called Akkermansia which really responds to like the purple to red kind of pigments in fruits and vegetables, and that I see really commonly so low in so many tests. So yeah, really make sure you get the purples in, you know, purple cabbage, beetroot, all these kind of things. But yeah, when you go shopping, my tip with this, if you're just trying to start off with getting a bit more veg up and, you know, your variety in, shop weekly. Like this is where a good example of, you know, social media can kind of stress us out a little bit. You know, take us to step 10 when we're not even at step 1 yet. Like you'll see posts where it's like you've got to get this, you know, crazy variety every single day, has to be different. And if you're just starting out, that is so overwhelming, okay? Like I said, that's like step 10. You'll get there eventually, but if you're not at that point yet, start shopping weekly, get your variety of vegetables, work through them that week, and then when you go shopping the next week, change up your vegetables so you've got a different selection to work with. And that's how you start, and then you keep that rotation going. And then eventually when you're in that rhythm and you're like, yeah, this is like second nature to me now, then you start building and building and building on that variety, where it starts to then become even more of a daily thing, okay? The way we make changes and make them long term is we start with, you know, each step at a time, and we slowly build. If you go from 1 to 10, you'll maybe do it for like 2 weeks, and then you'll be like, oh my God, this is just so overwhelming. And then you'll just kind of talk yourself out of it and just fall off of it in some kind of way, okay? So I always say start with less and build it up, because then at least, you know, you will get to that goal eventually. But when you get there, it's going to be part of your lifestyle kind of without even thinking, and then you're just going to keep the consistency, because consistency is the absolute key to health, okay? Consistency is like the #1 thing you need to have. Okay, and then the 5th thing I would recommend you do is make sure you get a good serving of protein with every meal, okay? A lot of people have the question of what is a good size serving of protein. Typically they say, you know, if you're doing it by hand, it's a palm size, but also how I also kind of look at it is in grams. So if you aren't sure how many grams you should be meeting across a day, you basically take how much you weigh, and I times it by 1. Like if you're someone who is active, you do move around in your day-to-day life, just times it by 1, okay? So that's quite an easy equation to do. But if you're, say, watching this video and it's more, you know, trying to get tips for, like, say, like an elderly, you know, like a grandmother or something, or someone who's very, very sedentary, then you would times it by 0.8. There is also the flip side, that if you are someone who is extremely active, you know, maybe you're like doing bodybuilding, for example, then your protein needs you might want to times it by 1.2 or 1.4. Yeah, you might want to go a little bit higher, but typically across the board, it tends to be you times it by 1, and that gives you a bit of a rough guide, okay? I would say most people, it's roughly about 20 grams of protein per meal is kind of like the average. But yeah, that's also a good starting place, and then actually familiarizing yourself, like, you know, how much protein is in a portion of X, Y, and Z, and you can start getting an idea. But going back to the tip of having a serving of protein with every meal, this works on a couple of things when you have this, you know, goal and focus, because 1, you're going to be supporting your needs and making sure you are getting enough protein throughout your day. But the other thing as well is that if we start to tie in the theme of like that blood sugar management and kind of like the body and stabilizing, and also bearing in mind even like neurotransmitters and our mental health, like they are made from amino acids, you do need protein for those. You start hitting some other areas as well. And another side note is that by having that good source of protein with every meal, naturally that's going to help just balance out the macronutrients a little bit, because honestly the Western diet is very carb heavy. So usually that's another key thing I see a lot in people's food diaries, is that their balance of their plate is completely off, and carbs is like the main macronutrient in every meal. And if that's the case, that's just going to give you problems. Carbs are fantastic. I do need to make that point, because some people take what I say and like just go to an extreme. Carbs are fantastic. We want to eat them. We love them. They are going in our mouth and we are enjoying them, okay? Making that very clear. But we want the carbs to be in balance with the other macronutrients. So we want a good size serving of protein, which is the goal, with every meal, to make sure that we keep the balance happy. So there we go. If you feel a bit lost and don't know where to start when making some healthy changes in your life, these are the things that I personally would say start working on first. And then once you have these going, then, you know, the ball's going to be rolling, and then you can start layering on top and, yeah, kind of extending. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you like this video by giving it a thumbs up, and also subscribe if you aren't already. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. Mwah. Bye.